Carrie Campbell Show. I have the absolute honor of interviewing my Chief Marketing Officer and friend, Alexandria Alecci, who is the founder of Alecci Media, a collective of badass entrepreneurs who are revolutionizing the world of marketing, sales, and branding.
Thank you, Carrie, for having me.
I love that you started and you kicked off first. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have you here today. I mean, obviously for so many reasons. Yes, you're my Chief Marketing Officer. Yes, you are my friend, but you're just a badass yourself. So I actually want to start by telling a story so that I can put some like framework to everybody who's listening to understand a little bit about how we got into these chairs right now. So, I mean, 18 months ago, April 2024, I'm in the process of going through this like life change, shifting my business, going to the next level, ready to take on the world, become the female Tony Robbins. I go to an event that we met at. I'm going to let you fill the blanks in on your part of the story afterwards. But we go to an event, we meet at the event, and we just have this like cataclysmic connection. And I mean, we 3:00 in the morning, moon dances, like nobody knows what we're talking about, but it was a really, truly amazing connection. Fast forward a month later, I had just hosted an event in Montreal and I'm really ready to take what I'm doing to the next level. And I have this moment. I need to talk to Alexandria. About what? No idea. Had no idea what I needed to talk to you about. But I knew in my gut I needed to talk to Alexandria. So we get on the phone, we get on a call. And I think it probably started that way by saying to you, not really sure why I want to talk to you. But I want to talk to you. And I basically said to you, I said, I want to be the female Tony Robbins. And here's why. Not because his name, not because of the accolades, not because of celebrity status, not because of the, business building, but because if my name carries weight like his name does, I know that I can impact that many more women. And you said back to me in one of your faces, because you were like,
is that what I did?
You did. You did one of those faces. You said, I was just telling someone this week that we need a female in the personal development space who is strong and confident and can carry that voice.
No pun intended.
Oh my gosh, right? And that is where it started. Here we are a year and a half later. You basically run everything inside of the Carrie Campbell Experience. You're literally my body, not even my right arm. And so that is how we met. And that's how we got here into this chair. And so for me, it's such an honor to have you here. But do you want to fill in a little blank on what your experience was from that moment of meeting?
So it's interesting. There's probably only been 3 times in my life where I have felt the energy from someone before they came even into my peripheral vision. And you were one of those 3 moments. And I was walking in the lobby and all of a sudden it felt like I was struck by lightning. And then I look over like, what was that? And I see you walking like down with this awesome dress. It was kind of like, I don't know, Elvis meets Dolly Parton. And I was like, who is that? And you and I were the only 2 people out of 300 women at this professional event that had short hair.
Right.
That's how we, started the conversation, which I also find fascinating because of the conversations that took part after that with identity and hair and, that being the first touch point. But then I didn't even really know what you did.
Yeah.
We just clicked, right? And I thought that experience, the No event was so great because people were able to connect one-on-one. It wasn't about business. It wasn't transactional. It was just like, hey, human, I see you. And then, our worlds kind of just collided.
Yeah. Amazing. 18 months going strong. And I always say this to everybody, inside of Alecci Media, the collective, and my team primarily is mostly women. And I was like, in our team in 18 months, we haven't had one hiccup, not one hiccup, not one bad moment, not one challenge. I mean, we've had challenges, but not interrelationship wise. And I find that so amazing. Okay. Let's talk about Alecci Media. So I tell you this all the time. And I try to do it intentionally because I think it is something that stands out in such a powerful way. The collective that you have gathered, okay, not only are these people skilled and the best in the industry at what they do. Like, I am so blown away by that.
I didn't pay her to say that.
But but beyond that, they are some of the greatest human beings I've ever shared space and time with. And so it doesn't matter if, we're on set filming, if we're behind the scenes doing social media content. There is not one moment, if anybody that I have been with from Alecci Media, that's just not effortless and real and connected. So talk to me as you've been building Alecci Media. Talk to me about the people, talk to me about the purpose. Just talk to me about this thing that clearly is your heartbeat. Tell me about it.
Oh, that's such a beautiful way to say that.
Well, I mean, that's how I feel about you.
I really appreciate that. It's so interesting. Like even this moment being on set doing this, it's so surreal, right? Because it started from a conversation. But so early in my story, I had moved to Czech Republic, lived in Prague for 10 years, started my career after graduating from college there, started up in the startup world, pun intended there. And I came on board for a company called Social Bakers when they got 34 million in funding. And I was one of the first copywriters on the team and built their content marketing engine, had an amazing boss, got to do a lot of different things and grow that company very, very quickly, got them to scale to 100 million by the time I was 23. And it started with just trying things, not from a sense of ego, but because I was curious, right? And so for entrepreneurs listening, always keep your curiosity. But one of the things I'd ask my boss was, hey, and this was a social media analytics company, and they were one of the first Facebook preferred platforms, meaning Facebook didn't even have their own analytics when they launched business pages, right? And so this company was the first to do that. So I was telling seasoned marketers like 30, 40 years my senior, hey, you need to get on Facebook. You need to leverage analytics, and this is how you do it. And basically, I would have these crazy ideas, one of which I was like, hey, National Geographic is blowing up on Instagram. It's the second largest account. Can I analyze this for a report? And so I made, and at the time, I didn't know what a white paper was, but that's essentially what I made. And we scored them as a client. I later got to do a testimonial with them, bring them on the stage. And that's all to say there were other things like that happening. But as I moved and progressed within that company, I started to see egos in a different way, right? Because I was green.
Right.
I wanted to do the best. I said yes to taking on projects because I wanted the experience. I wanted to learn from others. And also it being a, very patriarchal society, I never had, and especially in the tech industry, which is, mainly male dominated, and then being in Eastern Europe, right? Like I didn't have any female mentors, and I was just in a very different world that was very fast paced. And so that's all to say that I wanted to work with people that cared about impact and not money, right? Because when you're in a startup, you're either trying to exit, you're trying to raise, you're trying to do big things, and a lot of egos come into play, a lot of fast growth things. And so eventually, when I had started Alecci Media, I wanted to build a collective that wasn't based on ego. And by being sort of that third party partner, I wouldn't have to kowtow to the politics. I could talk about data because it wasn't rooted in some boss or manager saying, well, this is how it should be. I could come back and I can say, no, like our experts are saying this. This is the data. So I was able to basically cut out those interpersonal politics and show up as an expert and be seen as one. But when you tend to be in these traditional hierarchical structures in corporate environments, there's a political play. So I wanted to create a system and a collective and a culture that focused on integrity, authority, authenticity and transparency, right? So that people could express their views, that we could value big ideas, but then also take the best parts of startup culture and what made those companies successful and say, okay, it's being agile, it's moving quickly, it's not being stunted, or like with a lot of entrepreneurs where they're like shiny object syndrome. Here, we're able to create strategy and we can experiment and move faster than within traditional teams. So that's what I wanted to cultivate. And the last thing I will say there is I'm absolutely like honored about what you said about our team and the impact, because I've really focused on building the right people and surrounding myself with the right people that have those same values, because you can build skills
For sure.
right? And sales and marketing have to go together, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah,
you know what I mean. For everybody listening, they can tell how passionate you are about what you do. You know, I mean, for me, it's so. I always kind of make the joke that your mind is like a computer. I mean, all of our minds are a computer, right? But I always say, like, I can see when it's working. You know, we spend a lot of time together, and I can read your faces, and I'm like, what are you thinking? And you're like, how did you know I was thinking right now? And I'm like, well, I can see it in your face. But it is so clear how deliberate you've been with everything that you've done. And like, just listening to you, like, I've heard you talk about Alecci Media before, but never in that scope, in like how deliberate you were at putting it all together and making it all make sense. And look, I mean, the truth is that I'm watching it firsthand, you know, as it's unfolding for the Carrie Campbell Experience and, you know, the movement that we are facilitating, No Woman Left Behind. You know, it's a big project. And, you know, having people around us to build that, who are all in alignment with impact. It makes such a difference. So with that said, I'm going to take a complete right turn or left turn, because you said something and I want to pull on it. You were talking about how we both had short hair at the actually our hair looked exactly the same. Like literally, it was literally the exact same at that time. But I happen to know that the short hair was a rather new endeavor for you as you were shifting and transcending in your own identity. And obviously at the Carrie Campbell Experience, you know, and for everybody listening, we talk so much about identity and vision in particular. So let's bring it into identity for 1 second, because this is not the hair you had, you know, whatever, a year ago, 2 years ago. I don't remember how long it's been.
Like 5 years.
You chopped it off. You went through a major identity shift, and you didn't know I was going to bring this up. So hopefully it's okay that I'm bringing this up.
It's totally fine.
You know,
I expected
not
it.
only did you go through the shift of cutting off your hair, you actually shifted your name. So when I met you,
that's true.
And I still get like, sometimes I actually still slip up, but when I met you, you went by Lexi. And then through a couple of, you know, particular events and experiences, you went back to Alexandria. So major identity shifting happening there for you. Tell us about that. Like, you know, let's dive in there.
Getting vulnerable.
Rip the Band-Aid off. Like, let's just go all in on it.
I love it. And this is like, something.
Because I would imagine, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I would imagine that as you've been building Alecci Media, some of the shedding of that past identity has had to happen in order to come in as bold and brazen. I mean, I've seen you in rooms. Like we attended an event in Miami together, and like you come in and you're bold and you're brazen and you own it and you're here I am. That had to shift. So tell me about that.
So I think it's a combination of a lot of things. You know, every 7 years on a biological and cellular level, we completely change, right? And we go through this shedding and this shift. And I had a very traumatic childhood. And I believe that we have associations, whether it's with, you know, names, or if you think of like an ex and you're like, every time I hear the word John, right? Like it just irks me, or whatever it is. Like we, on a biological level, we associate words, things, you know, and for me, my hair, and just, this is where it's going to shift, because it's talking about, again, we're talking about hair and identity and even name. I felt like I was always hiding behind my hair. Like it was long, it was beautiful, it was a lion's mane. I actually got threats from family and friends after I cut it off, like people coming out of the woodwork, like they were attached to my hair. And I thought,
so funny,
this is such a weird thing for you to give a shit about. And I'm sure that my mom's going to watch this, but she has a huge problem with my hair, right? Because I'm not hiding. And it's also, you know, I would say, not to be stereotypical, but like when I looked at the hair, like I've always loved Elvis. And for me, that's kind of what my hair like signifies in terms of being bold, powerful, and authentic. And I actually feel more beautiful with this haircut than whenever I had hair to, you know, my waist. But I think it was also shedding that former identity of not being okay with my sexuality, which I had to, hide in business settings. It was a liberation of I'm going to just step into this new version of me. And when I think about it, it has also been like just with meeting you and right, because we attach boldness, right, with hair and identity. And as far as for my name, that again was my association with my childhood sort of name and associations with trauma. And so I have become and evolved so much as a person that I wanted to step into this new space with my, birth given name, changing my surname, cutting my hair, and just really being who I am. And I've talked to so many friends who've been like, I prefer you with the short hair. This is you. I literally, when I look at these pictures, this isn't you. And that's the same conversation that you had with Jen Welter about my hair. Cause she's like, who is this person?
Yeah, obviously when you look at the image, you can see if you look close enough, but it is a completely different human being, and I can relate completely. Obviously I have short hair. This is actually the longest my hair's been in 7 years, 10 years. And I feel the same. Like I always tell people what I feel so much sexier, more confident, more bold, more powerful with short hair. And look, some people can't relate to that. But for me, I think some people never take the chance. We, like you said, you hide behind it. And this is okay, I'm going to ask you a question. So I'm going to come back to the question, but I think women hide behind hair more often than they realize, it's the same haircut since high school. And that's okay. I'm never going to say to anybody, you need to be something or you need to change something. I always encourage women to ask themselves though, to consider, are you choosing that hairstyle or that wardrobe
to appease somebody else,
or deliberately or intentionally, or are you just choosing it by happenstance because of what it has? Are you pouring energy into your identity? So it's not, for me, it's an inside out thing, right? How we show up in the world is how we show up for ourselves. When you feel good, you do good. So there is a moment in time where we have that moment where it's, I'm going to chop off all my hair or I'm going to change my name. What was your moment? Did you have a moment?
I did have a moment. So I think it goes back to a lot of self-love, but I was toying with the idea with cutting my hair, and imagine it's been to my waist. That was my
it was
identity.
Really long. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And I was like, maybe it's not the right time. But internally I had conviction that I was going to cut it. And then a conversation happened and I went back into my former shell and said, I'm not going to do it. And the next day I was out to dinner and a bee got caught in my hair and stung me in the neck. And I was like, if this isn't a sign, right? But two, hair is so powerful. And think about it, when somebody breaks up with someone, just for instance, they're like, I'm going to cut my hair. You talk to hairdressers, it embodies a different type of energy.
For sure.
And also I wanted something different for my, my personal brand, because if I'm going to see it in a networking event, people are going to remember this hair.
For sure. I mean, they're going to remember you anyways, but the hair adds to it. A little bit va 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 voom. So we were talking identity, the shift and all that stuff. And how does who you are now play into what you've created with Alecci Media? Because it is a personal brand.
Yeah, but how do you mean?
You're a personal brand, but your company is a collective. So how does who you are, how does that feed into how you're building your business?
So I would say that it was funny with Sarah Heater, our director of podcasts, we had a podcast together and she was like, don't you think having your own business is kind of your own political revolution? And I was like, yeah, it's kind of like my own nation state, right? And I see businesses an extension of you. It's literally your DNA. It's your values from every interaction, from your team to speaking with vendors to clients. It is your DNA. It's built off this inherent essence of you and your value system. And so, my partner in crime, Kim Miles, who's our chief sales strategy officer.
Shout out to Kim. I love you.
So, one of the things that we talked about, earlier this year was who do we want to work with? Not from a age 35 to 50 and, this amount of money. No, it was the psychographics of what are the characteristics do they have to have? And one of them was, impact over money, because we want to work with people that want to disrupt industries, do badass shit, right? Because with the right strategy and with the right team, us, they are going to get the money. The money will come in, right? And so it's just a very different approach, like scarcity versus impact. And that is all to say that how I show up in the world is being authentic and not just using the word, because I feel like it's also a buzzword.
It is, yeah.
But my values and my integrity, like the biggest one for me is integrity. Like, what are you doing when people aren't watching? And I always say, like, are you going to pick up your dog's poo when nobody's around? Like, I do that. If I see trash, I'm throwing it out. But the idea of making sure that my values and all these things strata across all the layers, no matter what interaction, and building those systems and our culture and it being inherent, like my life force, my beliefs, my value system, and infuse that into how our business operates. So not only are we creating a team that shares those values, but we're attracting the right people. So the moment that somebody's like, we say if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. Like if they're not ready to go or they're hesitant, like we're not going to push you. You have to decide that. Like we want a very specific type of person that aligns with us. Yeah. So when people feel that energy is off, it's not the right fit.
First of all, I was getting all emotional over here. Could you tell? Like for a moment, I'm just like, I love you so much. But because for me, so let me speak for myself as, a founder myself. Now you're going to start crying. Let's cry together. We need tissues on the Carrie Campbell show. So as a founder, as somebody who has this huge dream, this huge vision, right? No woman left behind, to bring high level elite coaching to women globally. It's clearly an impact driven goal, right? And I have had everybody work with me. I've had all the cheerleaders. I've had all the people hoorah. And no one's ever been able to deliver, show up, or do what you and the team have done. When I think about, when I'm going through something, and this for me is really important when I'm going through something, obviously my best friend's normally my first call, but my second in line is you and Kim, and it's so like, I'm so strategic too. Like I know who I need to call for what I need input on, right? Because I trust you so implicitly with not only this vision that I'm trying to build, but with myself, with me, like when I'm like, okay, I'm in my head about something. I need some clarity. Which one do I need to talk to? Because obviously you and Kim are very different. So I will pull on the person I need in the moment. But for me, that is so important because as an impact-driven entrepreneur, I need someone who believes in my dream like it's their own. And so for me, what we're building together, and that's how the language is we. That's all I've always said, what we're building. It's never been what I'm building. It's what we're building, So for me, like I see that and I feel that, and listening to you talk and just the passion behind it. But here's the question I'm going to ask you off of that, because I want to get to a question. We both know that every entrepreneur preaches being an impact-driven entrepreneur for the most part.
Okay.
And they come to you, I want to create impact. I want to create impact. Because I've coached business. And then you start getting down to the nitty gritty and scarcity mindset kicks in because income's a real thing, right? And then that becomes the challenge and the limitation, and they won't really step forward. So I'm all about impact, but can you reduce your rates? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? So talk to me about how you deal with that mindset and that challenge. I mean, you have your litmus test of who you work with and who you don't, but how do you deal with that?
So it's so interesting. It's not like people come to you and just say, I want impact and I don't care about the money. That's never, you know what I mean? And with our team, one of the things, and I know this is, ADHD brain, so I'm like going in circles.
It's okay. I'm tracking you. We're good.
Right? Okay.
I don't know if everybody else is, but I am. So we're cool. Yeah, we're good.
And then I just lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Oh,
you're going to find it.
Man. What was I saying?
With the team that we've created, when people come to us, they don't come to us and just say that they're coming for impact.
it's not, so when they talk about impact, it's not like they're like, hey, this and that. That's what I was going to say. Okay. Back up. So is entrepreneurs. Okay. So with my team, right? And why I'm so supportive of looking at our partnerships with clients is a strategic partner and not just, hey, we're a third party agency, is because our collective, every single person in there is an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, right? They know what it takes to bootstrap a business. And so where we're different is like, I want to work and we work with people that can be good stewards of our clients' money, that they know how to be innovative because they've bootstrapped their businesses, right? So when we're engaging with the client, like we'll get flexible, right? But there's a certain point where you can't have it both ways.
For sure.
Right? And we're a service provider, but we're going to figure it out. But if it's not the right timing, okay, but like there are real hard costs, and maybe it's, hey, we'll talk in a couple months, but also there are times when we've told people, hey, you have a really exciting project. We want to do it. And they have the money, but we're like, it's not the right stage for you to do this right now.
I love that.
Right? Because it would be a disservice to them, to us. Like, I want to make sure that we are not just delivering, but going above and beyond. And we do treat our clients' businesses like it's our own. And frankly, I can't really separate, because when I go, I would say it's almost like going into a marriage. And like, I'm not married, but I would imagine that in business, like I'm going to see all your ups and downs. You talk to me if, I don't know, you're spiraling or you have a new idea, or, these phases and fluctuations of emotions, or you're crying in the fetal position in a corner because, something just changed. We're going to be there for all those ebbs and flows. And so we don't separate the two. And entrepreneurship, it's not like there's just like a work-life balance. It's a blend, right? And we're on that journey with you.
Yeah. Gosh. And I love that. I mean, I love that I'm the one interviewing, because I can sit here and say, yep.
From your vantage point.
I mean, because it's been, 18 months. We've had a lot of pivots and twists and turns and shifts and changes. And
so you see that
it's
firsthand.
like, not only have I seen it, but I've felt the support, and and everything you just said, because a lot of people can say that and make the promise and not deliver on it. But I know you deliver on it, because I've witnessed it.
Mm-hmm.
I live it every single day. So I want to ask a question. So I was thinking about entrepreneurialism. I'm thinking about conversations you and I've had. And the truth is like, and not everybody listening right now is an entrepreneur, but ladies listening, there's a goal that you've had, whether it's losing weight or achieving, financial freedom, or buying a car, whatever the goal is. We've all had a goal that we've wanted to achieve that's outside of our reach right now. And as entrepreneurs, Lord knows we face it on a daily basis. What do you do on the days and the moment where all you're thinking is, I want to fucking quit? Because we all know it. My favorite line is, as an entrepreneur, if you don't want to get a job at least once a week, you're not entrepreneuring hard enough. Like once a week, you're kind of like, oh man, I need to get a job, or I need to quit. I think you get past that at a certain point. Like I don't do that anymore. But like, we all have moments where we're like, I got to keep going.
I have to say that I can't relate to that.
I love that.
And people may say, "Oh, you're full of shit."
No, you've been an entrepreneur for a long time too.
Like I started my business over 5 years ago, and there was a year where I didn't have vision into how I was going to make it sustainable. I didn't have the sales piece or that strategy. And before, I was a glorified, I don't want to say glorified, but I was a freelancer, solopreneur. I was filling in the gaps of people's marketing teams until I decided to make a pivot and bring in more people. But this goes down to support system. And I met Kim Miles also. She was the one who had recommended me to go to be a sponsor, and and she had left that job, and we got together, and it was like she's, the yin to my yang, and she's, done things with, she's had a brick and mortar, a nonprofit. She's worked in so many different industries. And so she knows what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. But like, I never had the foresight or really the vision, because when I started my business, it was happenstance. It was during COVID. I didn't have, an opportunity came to me and I said, I'm going to do this because I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. And so I was just going, but I didn't have the support system. And so I would say it's really important that you surround yourself with other entrepreneurs, and not that your husband or your sister, or these people can't be that for you, but you need to have and work with people that have built the business, that know the trials and tribulations, and what it feels like to experience when your bank account goes zero, because I had to do that. And because prior to meeting Kim, because I didn't have a vision or how to get sales, because I'm a marketer, I'm a creative. That's not my genius. It's like Van Gogh peddling his art. Like, you know what I mean? It's different. Although Kim will tell you that everybody is a born salesperson. More on that later.
That's why she's our chief sales strategist.
Yeah, exactly. But so from there, because I didn't have a vision, I went and worked for another female entrepreneur. And I realized I can't do this. I have to work for myself because people don't hold the same values. They maybe aren't motivated, in the same ways, or really have the ambition when I'm like, I want to take you to the fucking stratosphere. Oh, you don't want to go? Okay, not for me. So I started my own business and I got a contract, but then I lost it after I quit that job, getting back in my own business. So what did I do? I asked for help from my parents for the first time in my life. My friends donated food to me, and I drove for Uber for 2 months. And 2 months doesn't sound like a lot, but I hate, and I don't use the word hate often, or hardly at all, but I don't like to ask for help. And I did. And people came through the woodwork. And, then I became the marketing director of the National Association of Women Business Owners, met all these amazing people, met Kim. And the next month I got my biggest contract in my life.
Amazing.
And it changed. So I didn't want to, it was like, what can I do to make this happen? But in those moments, you need to talk with the people that support you, or your team, or people that have done it, because you are going to have those feelings. Just mine's a little bit different because now I have felt my passion and my purpose, and I can see the impact that it's having on you and your business, and not just your business, but like your personal network and the community at large. Like, I'm seeing this ripple effect. So I know my purpose. So now it's kind of like, well, how far do I want to take this? Yeah. Because I don't want to give up.
I love what you're saying there, because I never want to get a job. Because I had a job for like maybe 6 months of my life. I don't work for other people. So I've never wanted to quit and get a job, but I definitely have had those moments where it's like, how do I keep going? Because it's huge what I'm building. But I think what you hit on there is so key. When you find your purpose, I feel like nothing can stop you. Literally. And like, I've always known for me, my purpose is impact. It's always been impact, but it's been refined over the years, and I always say, like, I couldn't be where I am now at the beginning of my career, because I had to gain.
That was the evolution.
Yeah. I had to gain the credibility, the authority, 25 years of practice. But now, I remember when we went into business, into contract together, I don't know if you remember, but what I said to you is, the answer is yes, because there's nothing else for me. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life, because it's my purpose. And I think that's so key that you know that.
Mm-hmm. And with conviction, it's funny, like, you inspire me so much. And I tell you this all the time, but for people listening, like, it's true. And one of the things you said to me was, I've never snoozed an alarm. And I'm like, fuck off. What?
So true.
And then I thought about, like, if you are so driven and have so much purpose, you can't wait to get out of bed, and you have those goals and that, that discipline, and that's what it should be about. I think people say, follow your passions. No, like, leave your passions, your hobby, but find a way to mix it. Yeah. Right. Like, I love with what you do, so you'll never work a day, in your life.
I love that. I mean, we could talk forever, clearly, because we do talk forever when we start talking, but let's wrap up. First, how about you give a shout out to everybody? Tell us where we can find you.
So Alecci Media, ALECCI Media.
Perfect.
You can find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube.
Awesome. All the places.
All the places.
Like a good media agency would be, right? I love that. Okay. So your closing comment for all the women out there, and I'm going to come back to permission.
Okay.
For all of the women out there who are listening, who are on the verge of change, who it hit them in the gut when you talked about cutting your hair and the change that you made. And you talk a lot about giving yourselves permission and just doing it, right? What would you leave them with today?
A conversation we've had, which is follow your gut, jump into the fear, and just don't look back.
Love it. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Remember, nothing changes without action. Listening is the spark, but action is where the fire ignites. If this episode moved you, do what bold women do. Rate it, share it, tag me at the Carrie Campbell _experience, and pass it on to the ones in your life who need this message. Don't keep the inspiration to yourself. And if you're ready to go deeper, come find me at the Carrie Campbell _experience. For the women who refuse to be left behind, join us inside the No Woman Left Behind movement, a community where we rise together, rewrite our stories, and claim the future that's already ours. Hold the vision, trust the process, commit to today. Until next time, let's redefine, reclaim, and rise together.